My mom wants me to give away my baby items, but I'm not ready. I'd never imagined something as joyful as the birth of a child could stir up such tension within my family. Here we are, my mom and me, standing on opposite sides of an invisible line, each of us tugging at the threads of our family bond. Let me take you back to where it all began. I'm 30 years old, a mother to a beautiful 14-month-old daughter, and deeply in love with motherhood. My sister, 5 years my junior, just discovered she's expecting her first child. I remember the day she told us, her eyes sparkling with a mix of excitement and nervousness. We were all thrilled for her, of course. I could feel that familiar warmth spreading in my chest, that happiness you get from seeing someone you love stepping into a new chapter of life. It was during a casual conversation with my mom that the subject of baby items first came up. I was mentioning how I had a few things my daughter had outgrown, crib mattress covers, some other odds and ends, and how I'd be more than happy to pass them on to my sister. My mom nodded approvingly, her eyes lighting up at the thought of her daughters supporting each other. But then she asked something that caught me off guard. "What about the baby swing, the bouncer, and the bathtub?" she inquired, her tone casual but her eyes searching mine for a reaction. I paused for a moment, taken aback. "I hadn't planned on giving those away," I replied carefully. "We plan on having more kids." My words hung in the air between us, and I watched as my mom's expression shifted subtly. This wasn't just a passing request to her. She seemed to have a deeper expectation, one that I wasn't prepared to meet just yet. You see, when my husband and I were expecting our daughter, we made a conscious decision to choose gender-neutral items, always with the thought of a second child in mind. It was a decision rooted in practicality, in the hope of expanding our family relatively soon. My mom knew this, yet there she was, pressing the issue. She called me later, her voice a blend of frustration and persuasion. "Why not just give them to your sister?" she asked. You're not using them right now, and even if you got pregnant today, you wouldn't need them for a while." The logic in her argument was sound, but emotions are rarely logical. I tried to explain to her that it wasn't about withholding anything from my sister. It was about being prepared for my own family's needs whenever that time might come. I wasn't giving those items to anyone, not just my sister. It was just easier to part with things I didn't expect to need again or didn't mind not getting back, but my mom wasn't satisfied. She brought up the family traditions, how she and her sisters-in-law passed baby items around as needed, a practice rooted in sharing and support. Her words were laced with the nostalgia of simpler times, and I could hear the silent judgment in the spaces between her sentences. I felt a knot forming in the pit of my stomach. Was I being selfish? My mind raced through the possibilities, the what-ifs. What if my sister really needed those things? What if I was being short-sighted? But then again, I knew my sister hadn't even had her baby shower yet. She didn't know the gender of her baby, and she hadn't asked for these items herself. In fact, she seemed content with what I had already offered. Despite my internal rationalization, the conversation with my mom left a lingering unease. I found myself replaying her words over and over, questioning my decisions, my priorities. The feeling of being misunderstood by someone you love, especially your mother, can be deeply unsettling. I picked up the phone and called my sister. I needed to hear her voice to clear the air. As we spoke, I felt the tension ease. She was thrilled with what I had planned to give her and seemed genuinely excited about the prospect of getting new things at her shower. We laughed about the baby shopping spree she anticipated, and I promised to help throw her a shower, assuring her of my support. Yet, the shadow of my mom's disappointment lingered. I couldn't shake off the feeling that she saw me as something I was not, selfish perhaps, or ungrateful for the traditions she cherished. I respected those traditions, but I also believed in setting boundaries, in making decisions that were right for my family. Reflecting on it later, I realized that this wasn't just about baby items. It was about autonomy, about making choices for myself and my children. My mom and I were both navigating our roles, hers as a grandmother, mine as a mother, and perhaps our expectations clashed more than either of us anticipated. I know she means well. Her heart is in the right place, filled with love and the desire to see her daughters supporting each other. But this was my decision to make, and I stood by it, even if it meant facing her disapproval. In the end, I didn't regret my choice, but it taught me something valuable about family dynamics, about the balance between sharing and self-preservation. It reminded me that love doesn't always mean agreement, and sometimes standing your ground is an act of love too, both for yourself and for those you care about. As I watch my sister prepare for her new role as a mother, I feel nothing but pride and excitement for her. I'll be there every step of the way, with whatever she needs, whenever she needs it. Because that's what family does, in our own imperfect, beautifully complicated ways. In the days following the conversation with my mom, I found myself reflecting more deeply on the nature of family expectations and the silent weight they can carry. My mind wandered back to the countless family gatherings, the stories shared, the traditions passed down like heirlooms. It struck me how much of our identity and decisions are influenced by those who came before us, sometimes without us even realizing it. One evening, as I rocked my daughter to sleep, her soft breaths rhythmic against my chest, I thought about the kind of mother I wanted to be. I thought about the legacy I hoped to pass on, not just material things, but values. Values like independence, self-respect, and the courage to make decisions that are best for oneself, even when they aren't popular. I remembered my own childhood and the times when my mom stood firm in her beliefs, even when they went against the grain. There was a certain strength in that, a lesson I had absorbed without realizing it. Perhaps, in some ways, I was more like her than I cared to admit. The thought was both comforting and unsettling. Meanwhile, my sister's pregnancy was progressing, and the excitement in our family was palpable. My sister's baby shower was fast approaching, and I threw myself into the preparations with enthusiasm. It was a welcome distraction, a way to channel my energy into something positive. The planning, the decorations, the anticipation of seeing her face light up, it was all a reminder of the joy that this new life would bring. On the day of the shower, our house was filled with laughter and the gentle hum of conversation. Friends and family gathered, their presence a testament to the love and support surrounding my sister. As she opened gift after gift, her eyes sparkling with gratitude, I felt a swell of pride. She was stepping into motherhood with grace and excitement, and I was honored to be part of her journey. After the party, as we sat amidst a sea of wrapping paper and baby clothes, my sister turned to me, her eyes filled with warmth. "Thank you," she said softly, "for everything." Her words wrapped around me like a hug, and in that moment, I knew that my decision hadn't created any rift between us. If anything, it had strengthened our bond, allowing us to navigate this new chapter with understanding and respect. In the weeks that followed, my mom and I found our way back to each other, as we always did. Our conversations continued, sometimes with pointed reminders of her own experiences, but more often with shared laughter and stories about the past. I realized that while we might not always agree, her intentions came from a place of love, a desire to see her daughters thrive together. Reflecting on the entire episode, I came to see it as a nuanced lesson in family dynamics. It taught me that while traditions hold value, they must evolve with time and context. It reminded me that standing my ground wasn't an act of defiance, but a step towards defining my own path, one that acknowledges the past but moves forward with intention. As I watch my daughter grow, I hope to teach her that family is about more than shared blood or traditions. It's about respect and understanding, about supporting each other in ways that honor individual choices. And as my sister embarks on her own journey of motherhood, I am reassured by the knowledge that she too will find her way guided by both family history and her own instincts. In the end, the baby items were just things, replaceable and secondary to the relationships that truly mattered. What remained, long after the conversation with my mom, was the love that binds us all, a love that, while sometimes challenging, ultimately makes us stronger together. Don't go anywhere, more stories ahead.